Okay.
Greetings, everybody. This is Wesley Pepper here. This is the Art Lexcia.
And this is Siza Nkosi, and welcome to episode 79.
Yes, this is episode 79. I forgot to write it down. So
Yeah.
we're closing in on 100, and we should get there soon. So that's, I think, like 100 seems like a big number, and everything big. And we're going to be talking about big things and big numbers and big ideas today. We've got a really dope ass guest today. So, but before we get to Clare-Rose, last week's episode was a bit experimental. So I hope you guys we will be adding, we will be trying to do an episode where we like package all these voice notes of the National Arts Festival. So yeah, just bear with us on that. But yeah, any comments is highly appreciated.
Yeah, please do,
because
engage.
This platform is about that type of thing.
And we're not trying to be anything else but ourselves, for ourselves. So we really appreciate the feedback. Yeah.
Much appreciated, world. Moving on to today's guest, man, as you can see there in the left-hand side is Clare-Rose Julius. So Clare-Rose is an OG. So I met her many moons ago through one of the book fairs, book weeks, things that was happening.
Was it book fair?
Yeah. Well,
guys,
I think it was the Josie. I think it was Kanya College, wasn't it?
Yeah, but they do the Josie Book Fair, and it was, I think, the 2010 one. So it's a very long time ago.
Yeah. Back then, I was still a publisher, and I was still doing. I was still actually doing printmaking, something I haven't done in close to 10 years, which is unbelievable how time flies. So it was a different world. We will definitely be touching on that. Claire, you've got quite an extensive background, and your background is incredibly layered, and we want to get to that. So we want to talk. So okay, just for the listeners. So Clare-Rose is really she works in the book world. She works within that ecosystem, both as a publisher. You are Claire. Do you write? I don't think I've ever.
I'm not a writer, but I've got a book in planning stage.
Okay. Okay. Do you edit as well?
Sorry?
Do you do any form of editing?
Editing, I do some editing, but it's not something that I like doing. I do a lot of proofreading though.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because I actually remember you as a book person. Okay, I know who you are, but like when Clare-Rose, I'm like, oh yeah, I met her at a book fair, Northern Cape, Writing Festival. I think it was 2009.
It was before COVID.
It was before COVID, definitely. We had a conversation around books. Of course, we're in a book festival, and I know, can you tell the people what Book Lingo does? Because for me, that's who Clare-Rose is.
Yeah. Thanks, Wesley. Thanks, Siza, for inviting me. I'm so happy to be here and to talk to you guys tonight. So, Book Lingo, I've been in the trade now for 12 years. And Book Lingo started as a side hustle in 2016. I then left the publisher that I was with, and in 2018, I've decided to go full force ahead, full-time into Book Lingo. And I basically specialize in helping self-published authors. But when I got into the industry, I always had this problem of finding self-published books that was substandard quality. And one of my aims was to focus on books that can stand alongside commercial published books. And you cannot actually see the difference. That was just, and that's basically where it all started. So I guide authors a lot in how to get their books out, published, and then also the marketing or getting their books into the market. And yeah, I work with a lot of aspiring authors, first-time authors, but I also have quite a few established authors like Dudu Busani Dube. She's one of my authors that I work with. I'm quite grateful to work with the caliber of authors like herself, and also Zakuswa Warner, and then Jackie Pamotse as well. She's done, I've typeset all her books from the first book in the series straight throughout. So yeah, that's me.
Okay, man, Claire. So let's start at the beginning. Now,
Yes.
perspective is everything, as you know.
Mm.
So you mentioned earlier on you were working through a publishing house, Porcupine Press, correct?
Yes.
So
that's where I started.
yeah, so Porcupine Press, Gail and David Robbins, they really old school, and they've been doing some. Especially our paths have actually crossed with David recently. He's sort of indirectly in a project we're actually working on, or setting up as we speak.
Wow.
Which I will talk on this platform at a later date.
Yes.
So the industry is a really small world. So Porcupine Press was also an indie publishers, right? So explain to us what you're doing there, man.
Yes.
How did you start working?
It's a funny story. That's actually I always say that my passion has found me. I didn't go out. I'm going to try and concise the background for you, but I was initially my career was in tourism, and at the time working with Gail and David, we were working with in Beckersdal on a tourism project, and the contract ended, and we left, and then I became like a glorified PA because there wasn't another project to work on. And I got bored to tears with my job. I then approached them and told them, you need to give me a challenge, otherwise I'm going to leave. And that's basically where it all started. As you know, Wesley, David has, I'm not sure on which number of books he is now, but he's a writer. And he then came to me and he said, Claire, we've got this dormant imprint called Porcupine Press, and I'm going to try my hand in self-publishing. Would you be interested in helping me with the marketing? And I said, yes, let's do it. And as I say, that's where everything started. I fell in love with it. I then set them down and told them, let's do this for other authors. They said, great. And I ran the company for them single-handedly until 2013, when self-publishing from 2009 until 2013, and then it just exploded. And then Gail and David came into the business in their separate niches, and then I was heading the marketing and distribution side of things at that time. So yeah.
No, that is a lot. I mean, congratulations and
thank you.
That is totally astonishing. But
yes.
How do you then, because publishing is a lot, right? Because for me, it's one access, who reads books, and you're supposed to market, and how do
the readers are there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Go on. Sorry to interrupt you, but yeah.
No, but I'm also just getting into how do we read, because there's ebooks, there's a whole life happening in like over the internet, over the screens. Like, how are you navigating that space, especially because, for a second that became our world during the COVID-19 pandemic. Like everything just happened on this box, the screen,
yes.
Yeah. How has the experience been for
you? So how it's been, it actually opened up opportunities, because there's certain things that I didn't do. So in my portfolio of services, I do singular singular services. So if you come to me to do cover design or just editing, I can help you with that. But with some of the projects, I do the full production. But many, up to pre-COVID, we were just focusing on the physical book. And then a few authors here and there ask about ebook conversion and getting the ebook out. And I've used Amazon specifically as a platform. So with COVID happening, it's actually opened up because at that time, everyone said, no, we can't, no one can leave. So many of my authors started inquiring, can we do ebook conversion? And then I thought, okay, if 2 or 3 are wanting this, maybe more would want that. So I contacted all my existing clients and said, since it's COVID, would you like me to convert? Yes, a special price, made a pricing up. And we actually, after that, I got so many of my authors on Amazon as a platform. Right now, we do not have an ebook bookstore in South Africa specifically. Take-A-Lot only focuses on physical books, and Loot, I think Loot offers ebooks. No, I'm lying, sorry. It's the other way around. Loot focuses only on physical books, and Take-A-Lot offers ebooks, but that feed, they don't do it. They work through a third party. So what happens is that an internationally based business called Ingram receives the books, and Ingram then sends the feed to Take-A-Lot, and that's how the books get up on Take-A-Lot. So we don't have a dedicated ebook store in South Africa. So with that, luckily, my sales have gone up in terms of the ebooks and Amazon requests.
Yeah, cool.
So yeah, Claire, so I'd like to take just a few steps back again now.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know that like your skills in ebooking, I think I attended one of your workshops in the past.
Yes.
Yeah, and like to a certain organization, which I wanna, we'll see if we can get there. Yeah, but like just so what I'm really interested also just for the learners, so for the listeners, you were saying you multi-skill set, right? So you do people, all of these things, right? I know that in our industry, that's demanded. If you're based on the continent over there, you are forced to, as a creative, you have to do, even if you're not good at it, you are forced to, otherwise you won't make a living. So I know that also is also, that comes to, in order to do that comes with another skill set. So big up to that. So explain to us, so explain to us, like, how did you, when you say you came from the tourism industry, and then you were with Porcupine Press, how did you, how can I say, how did you sort of activate your skills? Yeah, how did you develop it?
Read.
And
then in 2012, was it 2012 or 2011? I think 2011, I told Gail and David, I'm thinking of extending my my degree in tourism into published into the honors in publishing studies at Wits. So then I wanted to learn more about the industry, because it was just about what I've read in books at that time, and Google and everything else. So then I went to Wits and did the publishing studies course, and I graduated in 2013. Yeah, so
congrats, many congrats for that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I also think it's fascinating that, you know, I think the world that you've been existing in is so strange. Like, no one can think of, geez, there's a career around this, you know?
Exactly. I would have never thought. That's why, as I say, it's just, I fell into it and loved it.
Yeah.
So one of the skills that I know you also do is typesetting, right?
Yeah.
Everybody who doesn't know the book industry, explain to us, what is typesetting?
It's one of my first loves. Oh, I love typesetting.
How about it and all of that?
Okay, so how it started, again, it was going back to Porcupine Press. So while doing the distribution of the books, a lot of books came onto my table and they had beautiful covers, books were properly edited, but then you open it and it's just a mess. It's like someone that designed the book have never ever in their life opened a book. So then I started, I told, I told Gail and David, let me see if I can do this for authors. And again, this is absolutely my first love. Just finding out how the page layout must be set up, the margins. Also with that, I extended after I finished my degree, we didn't really have training in InDesign, and I had to go to AAA, and I got a course, a short course in InDesign. So with everything, I make sure that I add to my skill set and I learn about. It's not just I open a book and then see how things work. So with typesetting, to engage the reader, you need to make sure that your margins on the side there's enough white space on the side, and the spacing between the text, there's also enough space between the text so that the reader don't actually lose their interest. The other thing is also certain fonts that you need to use opposed to other fonts. There's various things that you need to know that's very important to keep the reader engaged. One of the things is that you should not use default fonts like the Arial and Times New Roman. And people don't know this. Self-publishers, they will use Times New Roman. Yeah. But I've actually researched this, and what they say is that books typeset or designed in Times New Roman, you lose the readers because their eyes, you get bored.
Yeah, it's that
because of the overuse.
That font sucks. I hate it, to be honest.
Yeah.
You could justify my anger in a very intellectual kind of way.
I agree completely with you.
Can I also just say that how interesting what you're saying is to me as a teacher, that I've also taught maybe in lower levels of like trying to consume the art of reading and writing and eye coordination and letters and stuff. Like what you're talking to right now, it is so interesting to me because maybe of my experience with learners who just can't grasp that, you know, this is how we write and this is the page, this is what these lines are doing. And I'm not saying anything about this, I'm just making an observation that it's something interesting that you find even later, you know, later. And I mean, if you're born as a writer, these things should
matter.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's not many writers know this, as I say. And it's also when you set the manuscript, you as the writer, when you set the manuscript up, a professional publisher or even typesetter should tell you these are the requirements. This is how you need to set it up. Your manuscript must be in double spacing or single spacing, whatever, and keep it simple. Because the other thing is, when you do work on your manuscript, do not add design elements to the book. That's what the designer.
What are design elements like lines?
Fancy headers, lines, boxes. That's where this is what your typesetter will do. What then happens is then I get that file and then I will have to strip it anyway, because if there's something not correctly set up and I pull it into my design program, then it's going to corrupt.
So give us an idea of like what elements will work versus what won't, because I just want to, just before you explain that, I just want to raise like a point that you're picking up, which I think is incredibly like poignant to what we're doing now. We live in a visual world, right? You look at an app like Instagram, like everything is visual. So what the viewer sees matters.
Yeah.
And like whack as like design and typesetting, there's no time for that anymore. Yeah. So just explain to us like yeah, what just a generic form, like what works versus what doesn't work.
Exactly what you said, Wesley. I'm just gonna use this.
Yeah. Please, that's cool.
So this is a recent author that I've helped to publish a book. It's true crime. So what we did is to actually match the front cover on the inside, and then with the disclaimer, normally you get just the disclaimer with no design, flair, or anything. So we've put the strip there so that it continues throughout. Again, very nice font that goes back to crime, and your fonts as well. You can't just choose a font; it must relate back to the story. That's the forward, and then the chapter opening. I just want to show you how that was set up. So not boring at all.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
So the old way, it's just plain, but some of my authors, they still, it also depends on the author. I will ask them, what do you prefer? They will say, I work with an author now, I added very nice things. And she's like, I just want it simple.
Yeah, because I honestly want to say that I think you're right when you say it goes without, like poetry, for example, like you sort of don't want it clustered with images and patterns and shapes and because poetry is also just that on its own, it might be clouded. So I think it's fascinating that there's a process to this and what works and what doesn't. Yeah.
Is there a difference between like children's books or young millennials versus Generation X? Do they all have different preferences? Yeah.
Yeah, I've just done a youth, a young adult book, and for that specific one, I've added like a lot of design elements to keep the reader engaged, because the reader will be young adult. Although it's very much focused for adult readership, but it is genre specific, and it is the type of book. If you just have a fiction novel, as I say, this is not really fiction, but it's non-fiction, it's true crime. But if you have a fiction novel, focus specifically, then you stick to the conventions. Don't add the floral or whatever design elements, and keep it simple. So there is that you need to actually design for your target market in mind as well. And with children's books, you want a lot of graphics. You want it to color. The thickness of the paper, all of those things, factors combined, make up a book, a good book. And yeah, typesetters should know that, and publishers should know that.
And Sis Claire, like, I'm just gonna go there because like we're showing stories, like, but how do you think the culture of reading is like in your space, specifically where you are? Like, is it a cool thing? Is it something we need to do, like to encourage the culture of even consuming these things that we're talking about?
Siza, it's changed a lot. I can remember when I came into the industry, I went to my first book launch, it was just white. I was the only person of color there. And then 2015, I think it just started to shift, and it was so beautiful to see how the audience are shifting, and what people are starting to consume. A lot more local stories and local content came out at that time, and it still does. So for me, I believe strongly, this is actually what I want to do my master's on the side note, but they say that there's not a reading culture, and our statistics are quite low. But what I'm saying is the ratio is so skewed. They don't have all the statistics, because actually publishing are working in two tiers. You've got the commercial and the commercial books, and they go through the general sales platforms, and those get counted. And then you've got this bottom tier with self-published books, people selling out of the back of their boots, selling off their website, selling at spaza shops, wherever. And those are not counted. So what I'm saying is there is definitely a reading culture. I can see it in the consumption. Jackie and Dudu, they are perfect examples. Dudu's book has just been converted and adapted into a series on Showmax. And that in itself should show you.
What's the title?
Shlomo the Wife. Yeah.
Okay, I've seen The Wife. I like The Wife, actually. Okay.
She's self-published. She started selling out of the back of a boot. Then what happened to promote the books? And this is just going. She was so clever. She took chapters and launched it on a Facebook page and a blog.
Yeah.
And then she just saw people starting to read, and then they wanted it. And she was one of the first self-published authors in South Africa where exclusive books, I hope I'm saying, not stepping on anyone's toes, but exclusive books came to her. At that time, it was uncalled for. They would never do it, but they came to her to ask her, can we have this book in our store? And she sold many copies. Same with Jackie. Jackie's second book in the series won the Nielsen's fiction award, and she was up against big authors, and she sold more than them.
Claire, I know that one of your skill sets, you know, that I find really interesting of how you exist in this ecosystem is book selling. You know.
Yeah.
So just for the listeners also, so as a publisher, like I think that's the most important thing, because if you can't sell shit, then like I don't know why you exist. Explain to us explain to us your setup, how you go about. So let's take it, or if we were to just be more direct, let's say an author comes up and say, okay, this is my book about the Art Lexcia podcast. It's the best podcast in the world. Yeah, publish my book. I come to Clare-Rose and say, there's my book. It's self-published. So all the self-publishing costs, clearly. I come to you with a product. What happens? Yes. How do you work?
Okay. So that's actually a sad story. And this is one of the disadvantages of what happened to me after COVID. So I had a sister company. I set up another company. So I had Book Lingo, and then I set up another company called Turn the Page. And Turn the Page specifically took care of the distribution side. I got a business partner to deal with the bookkeeping and everything else that I'm not really interested in. And we got, because of all my experience already and relationships that I've built before, it was very easy for me to go to Exclusive Books, Bargain Books, and all the other stores to actually sign up as a supplier. So once I published the book, I basically immediately pushed it into the distribution side. The issue came, the problem came that for 3 months where we didn't do anything, and the business, everything was down, shut down. The distribution also came to a standstill. And after that, almost 74% of our books were returned from the bookstores.
Christ.
Oh my God, that is a lot.
74%. Fuck.
And that's across the board. That's not focusing on one specific store, but yeah, which means that there's various reasons for that, because our authors are not really IELTS first-time authors, so a lot of them are not well known, and people don't. Many of the authors don't know how to promote. So we were hit hard. Only 25% of our sales. We take 25% from the retail price ex-VAT. So from that 25%, you have to cover courier costs to the stores, all the administration, and salaries. And then at the end of the day, that 25% wasn't working anymore. And then you have all the returns, and then the extra admin to get the books back into stock and everything else. So I then told, just now in May, I basically gave the company over to my business partner and said, I can't do it anymore.
I'm sorry to hear.
I'm happier. I'm happier where I am now. And now I can actually focus on a lot more publishing work, which has worked out greatly in my favor. Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that, Clare-Rose. Because I want to ask your opinion on this. So, I mean, we all know that the reading culture exists, right? So what you're talking about is distribution. And I know in the music industry, in the fine art industry, in the book, it's the same. People with the power controls distribution, right? So the fact that these distribution channels are now non-existent, and COVID and all this other bullshit render them non-existent, that doesn't mean that the market does not exist. The market is still there. In fact,
accessibility.
That's the point, man. So I'd like to know your opinion on this, right? And it's a twofold question. So I'll give you time to answer, but just give me time just to prepare the question. So just off with just the listeners, like we spoke before we started to record, and you know, earlier in the thing we said that you met both Siza and myself through a art fest of
a literary
a book fair.
Yes, one of the two, right? COVID almost has taken all of that away. And actually the recording of this episode, let's say the first weekend for all our listeners abroad in South Africa in about 2.5 years that all the mask mandate has dropped, and but the damage has been done. The damage has been done. So now it doesn't really matter, but the damage has been done. So with that in mind, with like all of these institutions, and there was an institution that you and I were involved with, I know that had a very dear place in my heart, just because I knew I knew the effort, and I knew the process, and I respected it. That now does not longer exist. Now that, as I said, like the market still exists. How does Clare-Rose Julius place yourself into that? Because I had a conversation with you earlier on in the year, and you tell me you also was trying to develop your own e-commerce website. On our side, the people who tune into this podcast know that's our business. Like, we're developing a platform, and all of this and all this. But that's that's just to know that this that's a topic that's very dear to this platform. Explain to us what's your take on all that? The existing market versus the platform got removed, and how are you adapting to it?
I'm of course very sad about, and it's not only this various, and I'm gonna mention names.
Please.
We lost the SA Book Fair. We lost a Bantu Book Fair. which was a space for Black authors, for us to actually come together and celebrate African literature. That is gone. The Open Book Fest, I think they're trying to, I'm not certain if they had one this year. I speak under correction, but their funding has been cut quite substantially, which I know of. I've heard that. And then the Northern Cape Writing Festival, I don't know if it's still going on. It just, yeah. So all of that has massive impact on the overall industry, because these are spaces where you connect with like-minded people. It's a space where if you are a writer and you don't know where to go, you can actually go to that platform to actually, or to the book fair, to connect with other publishers, writers. It's a place where they inform. And yeah, it's very sad that we lost all of that.
Just to catch you there, Clare-Rose, like you mentioned, because I've never really actually thought about it, but the role of these festivals in our communities, like that's where you get workshops, because we can't also see these festivals as a place for artists to just, you know, do their art and have fun. There should be a kind of
awareness and as well,
and skill development, and you know, a kind of institution that exists outside the institution, which is so, like, you know how we feel about institutions, like, not for, you know.
And Siza, like you're a poet, and poetry, which is not really celebrated that much on many platforms. And within all of these writing festivals, there's always been a space for poetry.
Yeah.
To make people aware that there's also other art forms. It's not only this form part of our literature ecosystem.
Yeah.
All of that, as I say, now you don't have that. So how are people going to know where to promote their books, where to sell, where to buy books, where to, and going back to the accessibility story, with Ubuntu, we could actually buy, people from the community could go to Ubuntu and buy books.
And location, I think location was key.
Yeah.
Get right to like, yeah. Clare-Rose, you're saying some interesting things there, my sister. So with all of that, like how you know, like we have the digital world, and like the one thing about COVID, about the pandemic, was it affected the entire world. So this is not unique to us anywhere in the world, and there are people like us across all 5 major continents that's struggling to do, or, you know, that's dealing with a similar issue. I don't want to sound, you know, I'm no motivational speaker nonsense, and I get very fed up with that shit. So I'm just apologizing in advance, but like I just see the opportunity. I see an opportunity that like we all, and we have the digital, and you must understand, like we have the rise of 5G. They're laying 5G cables all over the country. You know, we are running this.
How much do we spend on data? Like, what's it?
You know, it's this world we are living, and then to be quite honest with you, if it wasn't for COVID, then this thing would have happened probably in another 2 or 3 years. But COVID did happen.
I think so
much sooner. So the writing was always on the table. I remember one of the major frustration things with all of these festivals, that one thing I frustrated the snot out the hell out of me was when all of us together, all the writers, all the artists, everybody's frustrated as fuck. Everybody's got a story, and I always found that was quite necessary, but at the same time quite tragic, because I found that in these spaces over there, nobody there was solution driven. Everybody there tried to make their part. Nobody there was very little, and I'm talking of the multiple, even the fine art things. Everybody was very set and I mean everyone, I mean the people organizing these festivals were very set in keeping the order. Now that is gone. So with this digital world, how are you adapting? What are you doing?
The one thing I briefly spoke to you about it, but I am still working on a platform website that will not focus on selling physical books. So I won't keep any of my stock. So there's printers in South Africa, and they launched in last year or the year before on Takealot, where Takealot gets the orders and then they print the books on order.
Yeah.
So it's the first of its kind pure print on demand technology, which is currently only has been only available internationally. So what will happen is that if there wouldn't be no print cost for the author just upload their book onto the system.
That's
that is.
And if then the reader comes, they want one copy, that one book will be printed and sent. So what happens is that everything is on demand, and everyone wins. The publisher and the author won't sit with huge stock that they can't sell, as well as there would be a platform for them to sell their book. And as I say, it's print on demand. The other avenue is, of course, ebooks as well, which I'm looking at implementing at the later stage. But there's a big, huge opportunity coming in. Amazon is going to be a huge threat for Takealot. They are launching their shop front or coming into South Africa by February next year. So we are going to have a amazon.co.za shop front. What does this mean? People can now buy ebooks and print on demand books directly on Amazon in their own currency.
Country.
Sure.
So the writers get less.
Yeah.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare, but the thing is accessibility is gonna...
Accessibility, but the... Oh, okay, well, okay, we can...
I see it as an opportunity.
Accessibility is a thing, but my sister, we're not owning any of these platforms.
Exactly.
We're not owning.
We don't own
technology, so we are making George Bezos more money. Like that company, Amazon, they are huge.
It's an international conglomerate that, and a lot of people say
is the lack of Africa in technology, which is why I'm kind of always like pushing these questions with all our guests. So it's the lack of blackface, because all of these companies exist in Silicon Valley and in China. There's no Africa there, so all the money leaves here. Accessibility, yes, but anyway, that's something that gets me really.
Yeah, but like
I'm just gonna say, until now, Takealot has not have competition. At least they're gonna have competition because they've made it so expensive.
Amazon,
yeah, they've made it.
This is like a mother. They'll take Takealot.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that Takealot is going to push their prices down for their third-party selling program.
It will be a very interesting thing to monitor. Thanks for bringing that up, my sister.
And thank you, like you guys, all of what you're saying, like it really hits home. I think I'm really excited about your work, Clare-Rose, you know.
Thank you.
Because I think like at the back end of all of this technology consuming, we do need to cultivate our market, which is our readers and our future writers and consumers of this art. So yeah, I'm really excited about all of this. Like you guys for a second, they went poof, poof, poof. But like, I got you.
It's not for the faint-hearted, but
yeah. We soldiers. This is a war. We are soldiers. Like
yes.
This
is what we love doing.
This is so clear. Like in closing, my sister, like for our listeners, where can they get hold of any of your books, products, services, etc.?
Okay. All my books are available in stores across South Africa, all good bookstores. I do have a Facebook page, as well as a website, which is www.booklingo.co.za.
And if you want to use your
That's it.
as well, we use those platforms like
You can just contact me via WhatsApp or email me.
no
Publish at, it's easy, publish at booklingo.co.za.
we keep saying
My sister,
you.
thanks a lot,
We
man.
keep
You an
saying,
OG, man. Like
yeah.
I know
Thanks.
you've been in the trenches and like you're still up
Yeah.
here. So
Same.
to that, man.
Same with you, Wesley. I can remember when we first met. Yeah, and there's
Wow.
only a few
So,
of us that stuck. Yeah. So good for you as well.
No.
Well done.
Enjoy your evening.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Enjoy everything.
Love.
Thank you, everyone.
You too. Enjoy. How's Kimberly?
Right now it's the weather's miserable as fuck.
The weather
but,
is a bit sick.
Is
like
it
raining
we've been
yeah.
busy this side. Like we've been the podcast is we've been experimenting with a few new things and
yes,
we like
right.
like yourself. So we have a serious plan here and there's a lot of strategy here. So we really value the information. And what we will do is we shall contact your thing will be published in about 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
We'll be in touch. And
yeah, and we'll absolutely like appreciate it also if you could share it wide and far, you know, because I
Will
think
do so.
spreading the love, and that's how
we're building
a
digital ecosystem here, my sister. And I think you and your school set
sure.
We appreciate
and well done. Yeah, well done. 79 episodes. Yeah.
and counting.
Yes.
We only did the last episode, so and we got many more. My sister, thanks a lot.
Thank
you.
Lovely
evening.
Sign out. And,
okay.
Okay, Claire, thanks.
Hola.
Okay. Bye.
Sharp.